Hey everyone, welcome to this Dwarf Fortress Starter Fort series. In this episode, we're going to be going over hospitals and everything you need to help your dwarves recover from injury or attack, including creating soap, which is a bit of a complicated process, but hopefully this explanation helps. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to the level where I created the well. This well was created in a previous episode. Feel free to watch it if you need an explanation on how to create a well. I like to create hospitals near wells because injured dwarves need their wounds healed, and also injured dwarves don't really drink alcohol, they'll drink water. I made this well here by using the aquifer we have. So if I go down, you'll see there's a whole bunch of water here. I've got 2 layers in the well. Pretty good well. First step I'm going to do is mine out a relatively big section close to the well. Let's do something like this. Whoops, I'm just going to clear out this one. And this one just to keep it nice and symmetrical. And I'm going to let the dwarves mine this out. While the dwarves are mining this out, I'm going to press N to go to the nobles screen. And I am going to assign a chief medical dwarf. That's the first step you need to do. We don't have any dwarves with relevant experience, so I'm going to assign the fish cleaner. Fish cleaner I think would make a good chief medical dwarf. Congratulations. While this is happening, I am going to jump down to our workshop area, and I'm going to create the workshops required to make soap. Soap making is a little bit complicated. It requires quite a lot of workshops. I'm going to make a little space here for our soap making industry. Soap actually requires 2 things. It requires lye and tallow or oil. So let's first make some tallow. Tallow is made by butchering an animal, rendering its fat in the kitchen, and then you can make tallow. Oil is a bit more complicated in that you need to mill seeds, and then you press the oil in a screw press, and that's how you make oil. I'm going to go over the tallow example. Okay, so first step, we're going to butcher one of our animals to get fat. To butcher an animal, press U, pets and livestock, and you can butcher animals by clicking one of these buttons. We've captured a bunch of wild boars in our cages, and they've been trained. You can't butcher fully wild animals, but you can butcher semi-wild animals and trained animals. So I'm going to butcher this stray wild boar. There we go. Now a dwarf will go look for it in the stockroom, bring it up here, and it'll be butchered. There we go. And done. So if I click here, you can see we got a whole bunch of ingredients, including some meat, and what we were actually after, the wild boar fat. So once the dwarves carry it to the stockpile, the fat will be rendered in the kitchen. Oh, got some thieves in the... I don't see them. If you ever get notifications of something you don't see, you can press U, other, and you'll be able to look for them here. They gotten away with anything? It doesn't look like it. What are you trying to steal, kobolds? Did my dwarf scare you away? Don't think they got away with anything. If I click stocks here and I type tallow, there I've got some wild boar tallow already. That's the first part of making soap. The next part, we're going to click on our wood furnace and we're going to click make ash. In fact, let's make a few. So make ash. Let's do 10. We can remove this one. So after we make the ash, we're going to make lye in an ashery. So I'm going to press B, O for workshops, and select ashery. Oh, like that. Let's get a little space there. Let's do it out of marble, and let's pick, let's say, a wood barrel, oaken bucket. Not that it matters much. So the order to make ash has started. That's awesome. So they're going to carry wood up here, make some ash, and then once the ash is done, we're going to click here, add new task, and click lye. Okay, so now we've made lye and we've made tallow. So now if I click stocks and I type lye, I've got some lye, and I type tallow and I've got some tallow. Awesome. Next step we need is a soap maker's workshop. So I'm going to hit BO and I'm going to select the soap maker's workshop. I'm going to click here. Also needs a bucket. Let's make it out of marble. And now that it's available and we've got our lye and tallow, I'm going to click add new task. I'm going to say make soap from tallow. Oh, wrong one. I'm just going to do a work order so that we have a few bars of soap. Dwarves are going to use this soap to bath with, and they're going to get happy thoughts with bathing with soap. but also we're going to use that in our hospital if they get injured. Okay, I jumped back to where the well is, and I'm making a zone here. Meeting area. Drag it nice and big. Not there. And I'm going to hit accept. And then I'm just going to change the meeting area by hitting this little plus and saying new hospital. And you'll see here, when you click the little magnifying glass, you can see the things that your hospital will request, including thread for stitching up, cloth for bandages, splints and crutches to help dwarves walk, powder for casts. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to make powder with on this map, or I haven't seen anything yet. So for now, I'm just gonna leave this. It serves kind of the same job as splints. Buckets, this is used to help clean dwarves and let dwarves drink when they're injured, and soap. Now you have to assign a few dwarves here as doctors, diagnosticians, surgeons, and bone doctor. Dwarves won't get treated unless there's a diagnostician, so let's give 2 of them that job. Maybe this one, and how about this metal crafter? And then our doctor, make this furnace operator, surgeon for the planter, and bone doctor. Let's say this metal crafter. Okay, hospital needs a few things. It needs a traction bench, it needs its own beds, it needs a coffer, and it needs some tables. So I'm going to build a few of those. The dwarves actually operate on other dwarves on the table, so I'm going to put a few of them in. And beds. Any injured dwarf will sleep in the hospital. A chest for all the items to be kept in. Let's put it here. Ah, don't have one. Okay, we'll make some. There we go. And a traction bench. But before you build a traction bench, you first need to construct it. So, and you do that in the mechanics workshop. This requires a rope and a table. Oh, and a rock mechanism. That's right. There we go. And they make a traction bench. Dwarves in a traction bench can take a little bit of time to recover. This is when a dwarf gets a compound fracture. They could put in a traction bench to keep the compound fracture in place. Depending on how big of your fort is, you would want to have multiple traction benches so that the dwarves can recover faster. For now, I'm just going to build one as an example. Okay, there's my traction bench. Good quality as well. So to place the traction bench, BF traction bench, and I'm going to put it here. Normally I'll have about 6 or 7 of them. Probably don't need that many, but it's still pretty good to have. And finally, hopefully the chests are finished. No, not yet. I'm just going to make one here as a priority. If you ever want to make something as a priority, you can go to the workshop itself and then hit this little exclamation mark like I did. And it should be all good. And there we go. We got our coffer. So if I jump back to the hospital area, I should be able to place it. Now the dwarves will, based on these requirements, the dwarves will start placing thread and soap, etc. in here. As you can see, it's already increasing. And that is the basics of setting up a hospital. The only complicated part is really to make soap, where you, once again, you need to create lye by first chopping some wood, making ash in a wood furnace, and lye in an ashery. And you need to make some tallow by butchering an animal and then rendering fat in the kitchen. And then finally you make soap in the soap maker's workshop. This will make sure that your dwarves are healthy, and if there's ever a siege, any injuries are treated. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope it explained a few things to you. Have a good one. Cheers.